Yeah. So far. So far. Yeah.
So obviously, it was already mentioned earlier, kind of about how close you've came in the past to winning this race. As you get more and more further into your career, what lessons also did you take from those wins? Because back in 21, you came close with Elliott. 22, you came close. 23, you went over that hurdle of the incident pit lane. What lessons did you take from those to help you learn how to approach this race and get yourself closer to getting to that top step and getting your face on that Borg Warner?
Yeah, I mean, there's every year there's stuff that you learn. 21 was my first year that I was leading an oval race at all, and especially here at the Indy 500. So um, when I went to 22, I already had that feeling of like fighting for the front and fighting for the win. Then 23, you come with a little bit more experience and you think that you're going to be okay. We got the pole, which we learned how to fight for the pole. And then the collision. But honestly, I think everybody feels that it could have been his year or his race if that thing didn't happen. So, yeah, I'm just waiting for that year to be perfect. But as I said, there's always stuff that we can improve. Myself, the team, the car, there's always stuff that we can try and improve, and I think everybody does in this field. So yeah, hopefully we can have the same speed as we had in 2023, and just a little bit more experience and hopefully a bit more luck.
And you also talked about the struggles that you've had here trying to win this race. Dixon also has had a lot of struggles trying to win this race just the second time. Was there any advice that he gave you from those losses on how just to move on from that, or kind of like learn to deal with it and process those kind of losses?
Not really, patience. He's very patient. I think he's been knocking on this door a very, very long time, and it's crazy that he's not won 8. If you look at his performance, how he does it, his car speed as well. So, yeah, it's one of those races that it's, I would say it's the hardest race to win, because everything must be perfect. So, yeah, it's okay. I think that he knows that this place, and he's been telling everybody that this place doesn't owe anything to anybody. So I would say that's been the best advice that he's given me.
And obviously talk about coming to 20 and 21. There isn't that many super speedway races to learn how to drive these large ovals like they used to be back when Scott first got into this kind of racing. How important are these kind of practice and test session days for you to try and learn this? Because obviously coming from a road course background, you don't have these colossal 10-acre, 2-mile ovals like you do over here. So how important are these kind of sessions to help learn the process of how to drive these things?
Yeah, I would say here we actually are a bit lucky that we still have a lot of practice with the open test, but also during the month of May. It's not as it used to be, but still it feels a lot for what we're used to in IndyCar Series and all the series. I think they are testing less and less and less. So it feels good that we have one full week of like just getting used to it and trying new stuff and trying stuff that it feels more comfortable for us in the car. So yeah, it's great. Every year as well, I gain more experience. There's always new stuff that you learn and that you feel more confident. So for example, today I felt a lot more confident than last year when I came for the open test. So yeah, hopefully it keeps on going up.
So obviously first time coming back to the track again this year. What's the feeling been like going out here on this cold racetrack as you try to get set up for the month of May?
It's always a special day being out of the speedway, so it's been fun turning laps. Still only done a few runs so far, but yeah, it feels great. It's a good feeling.
You come back to this track with a team that has been well known in their past to have a really good history of winning this race. What's that difference been like jumping over to Andretti Autosport compared to what it was back at Chip Ganassi, considering that those are really the two top Honda teams that this series has?
Yeah, I think there's definitely differences, but there's also many things they do similar. So it's about getting to know the team and the people. It's been a lot about that. But yeah, so far it's been very positive. I think the team is putting a ton of effort in the off season to improve the speedway package. They were pretty strong in the race last year, but lacking a bit in qualifying. So they put a lot of effort into that. So hopefully that will pay off.
And obviously, much like Dan Weldon in the past, and so is Takuma Sato, you come from that road racing background in Europe that you're more well known for, but then you come here and you learn and adapt and you become such a lethal driver on these high speedway ovals. What was it about these ovals that you learned to really suit your needs, and what is it about it that really makes you one of these elite drivers on these tracks?
I just like the oval type of racing. It's a lot about small inputs and like the very fine details, and that you can adjust the car, and small changes makes a big difference on these high speed ovals, and the way you sort of yeah, you drive the car, and I like that sort of finesse you need on a big oval, and I think it creates some really fun racing. And when you sort of get on top of it, it's a really cool way to go race, and it's very different to what I've ever done before, like you said. So I was always excited to try it, and I really enjoy it.
And obviously, you come over here to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway back in 2019 when you first started doing this. Since your time being here, obviously you always hear about Indianapolis over on the other side of the pond, but now getting to be here and actually experience this, how much of an appreciation did you learn to gain for the track, especially now that you become a winner of this event and now are looked at as one of the top drivers every time we come here in May?
Yeah, I think, coming here from Europe, I knew it was a big race, but I had no idea how big it is and how unique it is in the racing world. So, the first time I was here in 19, it blew me away completely. I was like shocked in the whole experience and loved it ever since, to be honest. And, to be able to call myself a winner and have my face on the Borg Warner trophy is, it's still sort of, I have to pinch myself thinking about that. So it's very cool, and, every year I just can't wait for May.
All right, thank you for your time, man. Good luck this month.
Thank you.
So obviously you've been well known in the past before you even came here about your Formula One career, your road racing career. Since you came here, you really adopted this high-speed oval type racing. What is it about this track and this style of racing that suited you so well that makes you such a lethal competitor, especially as you got into later in your career, because you really seem to pick it up, especially when you started winning these things more often than not.
Yeah, I really enjoy it. Obviously the Formula One time is very special. But I think in IndyCar, as you probably see many times, there is so much action on track, and obviously the varieties go to the super speedway, short oval, street course, and road course. That's really attractive. So oval is very different from what I've been racing in Europe. But I think at least the Indianapolis Motor Speedway give us a kind of road course-ish taste, because rather than just a typical oval, it's combined with a very four high-speed corners, and you have to really drive into the corners, which is different from the context of some of the high banking of the ovals. So I think the most of the driver who are competing in Europe should be able to adapt in Indianapolis very quickly.
And obviously, you've had this Honda relationship since the start of your career back in F1. What does it mean to you to see them be so loyal to you as they have been, to be able to continue this relationship to where 20 years on, you're still really their flagship driver in the face of their company in terms of their motorsport campaign?
It's great. I think it's just the name of the sport, and particularly for the Honda, the racing is such an important part. And I'm very fortunate enough to be able to carrying the relationship with the Honda such a long years, since British Formula 3 and then Formula 1 and of course IndyCar. I think here in North America, it is a very big part of the Honda's activity. It is in IndyCar. So, it's great to be back, and there's lots of familiar faces, XHPD, now HRC, North America or US. But, really happy to working with them, and, we try to make a good progress from last year.
And obviously after your 2020 when you went over to Ganassi, a lot of people had high hopes considering how great that team was. Now you're back with the team that you got that second win with. Is that kind of a bit of a confidence booster, knowing, okay, I'm back where I was the first time I did this. Let's see if we can do it again and get that third?
Well, first of all, I'd like to say a big thank you to the Bobby for the opportunity, as well as Chip last year. It gave me a fantastic opportunity of driving Chip Ganassi Racing, and now, of course, Derek Coyne in the previous year too. But I'm really fortunate enough to have a good ride, and obviously the rail letdown and landing and racing is something I'm really familiar with. However, the environment will be very different from where I was. So there's lots of new faces, and but working on an extreme challenge. But that's what I like, and hopefully we are competitive enough to challenge for the number 3.
And then lastly, obviously, being from Japan, you carry that flag with honor. I remember your 2017 win, getting to hold that flag, being the first Japanese-born driver to win the race. How much of a pride feeling is that to be able to go back home, have Honda take that car with them, and then get to present that win as like, hey, you brought something new that no one ever has done before prior to you?
Well, it's a privilege to be part of the program and all the time. And obviously, it's my personal challenge and goal, to competing at the highest level all the time. It is always achieving very fortunately. And yes, I mean, we'd like to see some of the young drivers coming from Japan. That's ultimately is my next challenge. But hopefully that's the case. But while in that, I have opportunity. I want to do 100% commitment.
Is there any young Japanese drivers that you're eyeing at right now that might be suitable for this?
Oh, there is a plenty. There's some challenging in Europe, and some is graduating on the racing school to go into junior formula in Japan. Quite a lot, very competitive. Yeah, lots of young Japanese drivers existing. So now they really need to shuffle to have an opportunity to come to the North America, which is not easy, as you can imagine. But we are trying to make the best support we could.
All right, thank you so much for your time, and good luck this month.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
To your point about the conditions, would this test maybe be a little bit more valuable to you guys if you did maybe the first week of May?
Oh, you mean going back to like an old traditional schedule?
Absolutely, Scott. Absolutely.
That's above my pay grade. I have no idea. But yeah, that would make more sense, especially for weather.
Yeah.
You talked about already, you said back in IMS interview, just said now about how this track doesn't, you said in the past, kind of like how this track doesn't owe you anything. When did that kind of mentality start to come in to where you adopted that? Because obviously when you're going long and going good, you want to win this race and you're hungry for it, but like as obviously you get older, it's just kind of like you're accepting fate as it is. Like when did that whole mentality come into play for you?
I think that's always been true. You know, I think this race has just got a lot of ups and downs. Sometimes it's it's things in your control, and sometimes it's out of your control, and that goes for like the season as well. You know, I think you win and lose as a team. Kind of 2 years ago, I think we had really dominant cars. I made my mistake. The saving grace was Marcus winning the race. And he came close again last year, and Alex had his issue, I had my issue, but we were still working through the field and getting up there. So each race is a new race, man. It's a new year, and you're 100% focused on just trying to get that win. There's no kind of good things looking back at maybe the mistakes or the slight misses.
If you did get that win, like how much of a relief would that be? Would you cherish that win more than your 2008 win, knowing how harder it is to win that second one than it was your first one?
I think it's always hard to beat your first. I think just you'd probably enjoy it a little bit more. I think at that stage it was still fairly new to me. Having spent quite a while now, maybe with not winning and then also having near misses, you definitely feel pretty good now.
You talked about earlier kind of being the elder statesman. This is obviously going to be the 10th anniversary of your win back in 2014. Getting to come back here now, being one of the older guys, more experienced guys in the series, and getting to be that mentor. What have you learned since that 2014 race that's helped you apply as you get these opportunities to come back here and race again?
I mean, you learn something every year, no doubt. This place never stops teaching you and giving you lessons. So the big thing is I think I have a more of a big picture approach when it comes to it versus maybe what it was 11 years ago, 12 years ago. So I think the last few years it's been the same, though. I know what I want from the car, I know what I want from the team, and we'll all work in that direction to get there. Guys.
You talked about with the cooler track conditions, kind of how you're not going to be able to really use much of this going into May. How much can you really take away from this weekend trying to get ready for the month of May, knowing that's probably going to be like 20, 30 degrees hotter than it is now?
I mean, laps around IMS are always a good thing. Anytime you have the chance to do that, the more laps you can get, the better. But it'll obviously shift a little bit on what you're feeling now. You might feel fine for 25 laps now, but then you come back at 30 degrees hotter, and by lap 15, you're like, oh my God, I don't know this car. So it really depends on where you are in the pack. It really depends on what the track temp is. So yeah, I mean, it's very, I would say it's very shifting, but it's not like the month isn't shifting, because it is. The wind is a big factor, and just this place is affected by the smallest of things. So you have to stay on top of it.
Do you prefer running in the cool track with the high grip, or do you like the slick hot track setups that these tracks bring?
I mean, I think everybody likes the extra downforce and feel a bit more secure, but I just don't think the race is going to be that way. So you try and have it the closest as you can into the race to truly see what's under you.
Larson, 226.
Nice toe lap.
What's it like to have Kyle Larson on the box?
Awesome. Man, he's in my mind one of the best
people behind the steering wheel in the world, so it's really cool to have him as a part of the Aero McLaren organization. I've known him since we were kids in go-karts, being both from Northern California. So for me, it's an honor just to share a weekend, month, day, whatever with him.
And what's his feedback like? I know he was quick at 226 already.
I haven't talked to him yet. I know during ROP they were like, "How's it going?" He's like, "Fine." And then he did his next step. "How's it going?" "Fine." Next step, fine. So I'm sure it's still fine.
So,
Words, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
so back in 2017, obviously you were part of Alonso Mania back when you were with Andretti. Now you're here doing it again with Larson. What's the difference like between those two kind of drivers and the feedback from all the media trying to get them, and then what's kind of like just the feeling like having the eyes of the world again on your pit box?
Well, Kyle doesn't have his own bathroom, so that's different. I haven't talked to him yet, so I don't know anything about his thoughts or feelings or feedback. But again, yeah, it's cool to have the attention for the team. Huge name, the crossover event, doing the double, it's all awesome.
You've seen last year you had a really strong car coming back into this month. How badly does it make you want to go out and win this race, knowing how close you came last year, knowing that you probably have one of the strongest cars within this team?
It doesn't matter if you were close or not. You want to win this one so bad. So it's what I've been thinking about for the past 10 months. A lot of guys you got to beat, but I think we have a good shot at it.
Has Kayla Milo.
Some traffic today. What was that like? What did you feel, and how much did you learn in that short period of time?
Honestly, the first time in traffic, I think my tires were fresh, so it didn't feel. There wasn't much of a balance difference between clean air to dirty air, but then the second time, when Newgarden passed me, I was already kind of tight before he got to me, and then he passed me, and I tried to build a run back to him, and I got super tight. So I don't know if that is that magnitude is real or not either. So still, a lot left to learn about it, because the packs are so small and the runs, the amount you run on a tire is still short. So I think as you probably get in the month of May when there's more rubber on the track and all that.
Good seeing you here.
Yeah, nice seeing you.
Saw you out there.
Yeah, thanks. And I just think there's still way more to learn.
Do you feel rushed at all? I mean, we might get rained out tomorrow, obviously. You have a more intense schedule in the month of May. Do you feel rushed at all, and how do you maximize the time that you have here? I mean, it's Indiana weather, you know that. It changes all the time.
Yeah, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. It doesn't feel rushed, maybe because I'm used to NASCAR where we get 20 minutes of practice, and that is very rushed. Or even when we have the practice sessions where, say we get 55 minutes and 3 sets of tires, that is a rush. So this morning hasn't felt crazy, but we have made more runs than I guess I anticipated us doing. So, but I don't feel rushed. But I was happy that we got to actually run as much as we did right there.
You talked about back in October and even back at Martinsville, you're just kind of taking this day by day and just going with the process of how it goes. As it starts to get closer and closer to May and the realization of, this is starting to happen, has that kind of stress or pressure in your stomach built up, knowing that those times that you said, I've got time to figure this out, is running out, it's oh crap, now it's happening, it's tomorrow?
No, not really. I mean, because I feel I've not I haven't studied a ton, but I've looked at enough data where it's okay, now I just got to get in the car. So there's still questions and stuff when I get in there, reminders that I need to get between weight jackers and bars and what all that stuff means. But no, I think I'm just I was just ready to go, ready to get in it. I'm a pretty relaxed person too, so I wasn't too nervous or stressed about anything. So just happy to finally kind of be out there and get to be around other cars, because I've just always, for the last year and a half, I've been wondering what that looks like or feels like.
So we noticed a lot in the beginning of the session, a lot of your cars would go down the front stretch and dive into the warm-up lane. Was there a reason why they were doing that?
No, I think they were just doing some setups, things, batting some brakes. Just everything is brand spanking new, even for the other guys. Not the car, but some of the pieces of that we're using, and just to get out of the way, to make sure that nothing. And before you come up to speed, you want to make sure everything is well prepared. Just like in the oven. You don't eat right away, right? You got to wait a little bit. So.
Real quick, Elio, you're a team owner now. What's your evaluation of what Tom and Felix have been doing thus far for you?
I'll be honest, I just came out of the car. I haven't talked to them yet, but certainly it's great to talking to them and spare a little bit about their experience, because in the end of the day, you want all 3 cars up there.
So what is it like now for these open tests? You see IndyCar now starting to open it up to more fans. There's actually people in the Turn 2 grandstands, not just the V mounts. What's that like going in here to April and you already have fans in the stands watching everything you do?
I know, everybody's excited, everybody's pumped, and including myself. So it's great to have the energy of the fans, and I can't wait for the actual race day.